What's going on, guys? I hope that you're all having a wonderful day today. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Ty, and today in this video, we're going to be taking a look at my Letterboxd profile, taking a deeper dive into my Letterboxd stats. For those of you that don't know, Letterboxd is basically like this movie website slash app, of course they go hand in hand, where you can log movies, you can make lists, you could follow friends. It's like social media for movies, and also you can keep track of what movies that you watch each day. Like I said, you can make lists and basically rank things in order. It's basically a summary of your movie taste. So I figured today, even though I have at this point well over 100 videos, let's kind of take a deep dive into what my movie taste is, because as much as words can say, I feel like looking at my profile and the stats of my profile, we'll be able to actually see what types of movies that I like, what types of movies that I don't like, what I avoid. I don't know. We're just gonna have fun with this today. And yeah, I've been really looking forward to making this video because Letterboxd is like my favorite app. I know it's a website too, but I'm just saying, favorite app on my phone. I spend so much time on it. I feel like honestly I've used it like a Wikipedia just to gain so much more film knowledge, even just about movies that I've never seen before, mostly about movies that I haven't even seen before, information about actors, information about older films, newer films, anything that you could think of. I just am always on this app kind of going down rabbit holes. It's just so much fun. But let's take a look at my profile here. As you guys can see, this is the profile. Okay, listen. Getting down here, for those of you that don't know it, I don't know if I'm going to really go over everything with Letterboxd if you're not familiar. These are your 4 favorite films. It's like your Mount Rushmore of movies. I know that all 4 of these picks are very basic, okay? We've got Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, arguably my favorite film of all time at the current time. And also The Batman, just an absolute masterpiece from Matt Reeves. Jurassic Park, absolute classic, the best summer blockbuster of all time. And of course, Dune Part 1. Dune Part 2 I need to rewatch. But yeah, this is my profile here. I'm actually a patron, which is this thing where you pay like $50 per year and you could like do a bunch of extra stuff. You could see your stats actually. You could change the posters. I'm not trying to sound like a walking commercial for Letterboxd, but I'm just giving you guys insight for those of you that have not actually had any like experience or like been like exposed to Letterboxd in any sense. So yeah. Here on the right side, we've got 469 films that I've seen since I've had Letterboxd. By the way, on the day that I'm recording this video, I've actually had this app for 3 years. So happy 3-year anniversary to me. 3 years ago today, I logged my first movie. I think it was The Suicide Squad, James Gunn's film. So yeah, I've seen way more than 469 films, but I've only logged stuff that I've seen since that day 3 years ago. But we'll get to that in a second. I've watched 154 films this year. This doesn't count rewatches. I think I'm closer to like 160 or 162, but yeah, this is just individual films because those X-Men films in preparation for Deadpool and Wolverine, I was rewatching a couple of them this year. 114 lists. Yeah, I really like making lists and ranking things, especially within their own years. Scrolling down here, because honestly, I don't really want to spend too much time. We just have my 4 recent watches, which I'll just go over really quick. The other day, I watched Step Up Revolution with my girlfriend. We've been on the Step Up franchise grind. This movie was not that good, as you guys can see, but honestly, this franchise as a whole is pretty decent, okay? It's like enjoyable enough. Some of the films are really bad, but some of them are actually pretty good and pretty enjoyable. Trap. I know that it's pretty divisive. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people love it. I kind of ended up with the boring decision of just being pretty split down the middle, giving it a 7. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. Signs I just watched for the first time. Wow. What an incredible story. Not just about like an alien invasion, but about like faith and hope. So beautiful. And then I watched Demolition. Man, I haven't been this conflicted on a movie in a long time. As you guys can see, I gave it 3 stars. Just like a weird movie that's bookended really nicely with like a really good first 20 minutes, a really good last 20 minutes, but in the middle it's super disjointed. But listen, I don't want to spend too much time on that. As you guys can see, I have my diary here on the right side, and this is kind of like one of the more important things when it comes to stats, my ratings. As you guys can see, I'm definitely skewed a little bit more to the right. I know that it seems like I'm super positive from this, but one thing I've got to say is I feel like I'm always trying to watch good movies, if that makes sense. Films that most people think are good. And don't get me wrong, I don't just always go with the flow of my ratings. You guys will probably see that once we go with my stats. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like I just go out of my way to watch good movies more often. I'm not actively seeking horrible films unless I'm watching through an entire franchise or unless I'm watching a new release. Besides that, though, I see no reason to really go through. But just so that you guys know, my personal like average is a 3 stars. So 3 stars to me is a perfectly fine movie that isn't positive, it isn't really negative, just that right in the middle. All right, guys, let's just scroll back up here. Let's dive into the stats. Now, listen, stats, I'm pretty sure, like I said, are only a patron thing, but to me, it's so worth it. I use this app so much that I'm going to be honest, $50 a year is honestly a steal. That's like $4 a month. That's nothing, especially because it's just so satisfying to like change the posters and stuff. And of course, conveniently, my Wi-Fi is not working, but now it is. From here, by the way, so listen, we're going to be looking at a life in film, which is just my entire profile. If you want, though, on Letterboxd, and I'm just showing you guys this just because I think it's cool, you can break it up into, like, the years. But, yeah, let's just dive into my general stats. We already went over most of this. 919 hours worth of films, 342 different directors, 23 countries, and my longest streak, which is still active, at least one film per week, I guess. You know, that's the criteria, starting October 2022. So I'm still going strong with that. And, yeah, 111 2+ film days. I am quite the degenerate loser. Okay, as we're scrolling down here, okay, so, you know, these are my pinned lists. I'm not going to spend too much time on these, but the top films, 2024. Right now, I've got Dune up here, man. God, this movie's amazing. I still need to rewatch it. I've only seen it once, but God, it was such a masterpiece. Monkey Man, so underrated. Furiosa has just been growing on me. Challengers has been growing on me. Deadpool and Wolverine, I thought was going to be my favorite film of the year, but it's just not, and so on and so on. Taking a quick look, 2023, 48 films I watched last year. Definitely a good year for me. That was when I really started watching movies pretty heavily too. Across the Spider-Verse, I loved. Listen, I'm just a superhero movie guy. I'm sorry. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, I absolutely loved, even though I wasn't like a big Mission Impossible fan at all before seeing these. I've barely seen any of them, but it was phenomenal. Killers of the Flower Moon, Iron Claw, and so on. 2022, we'll jump here quick. The Batman, Everything All at Once, RRR. Please go watch RRR. It's so good. And then from there, 2021, Dune Part 1, because God, who doesn't love Dune Part 1? And speak of the devil, the movie that I said was my first ever log, The Suicide Squad. Such a phenomenal film. But yeah, let's just scroll down here and get into the juicy statistics here. We've got films by year. So this is just the amount of films that I've watched in each year, or from each year, I should say, not in each year, because there's no way that I watched a film in 1937. That would be impossible. So yeah, as you guys can see, I mean, it just makes sense naturally as time has gone on. I've seen more movies from recent times. It's actually pretty much like a slope here. And yeah, again, like I said, 2023, especially with the channel, you know, getting started in May 2023, I watched a lot of 2023 releases. And yeah, 2022 is really where I started to like gain a lot of momentum just when it came to interest for film. I've had interest in movies my whole life, but more casually. 2021, especially like halfway through, that's where things kind of started, I guess you could say. Like when I downloaded Letterboxd 3 years ago. But yeah, hopefully I could catch up to 50 this year, but the back half is usually more loaded. But yeah, as you guys can see, I mean, I haven't really seen too much stuff. Like from the 80s, I've seen plenty of movies, but just not in the past 3 years, because it's just difficult to watch all these films, you know? I'm more of a modern person, personally, and I've accepted that. That's okay. But I still love so many films from over here, but I just never go out of my way to actually check them out. But trust me when I say that I definitely want to. I just have to find the time, because whenever a new movie's coming out, I feel like I have to, you know, watch the whole franchise, this and that. Let's move on to the ratings, though, by year. This is actually going to get pretty interesting. Yeah, and again, this almost has like an opposite effect where, like, as time goes on, my average ratings of the movies that release in those years, that's a loaded sentence, actually gets worse. Again, I feel like that makes sense too, because the more movies that you watch from certain years, the more bad movies you're going to end up watching. Like, it makes sense that 2023, where I watched 50 films from that year, it's going to have a worse rating than 1990, where I probably watched like one film. Even like 1992, where I only watched like 2 or 3. That makes sense. And even like the 2003 range, 2004, I probably only watched like 10 or so, or 15, but compared to 50, again, it's going to naturally skew the data here. So, and my diary. See, this is the big thing that I really wanted to get into. 2021, I only logged 41 films. And again, that was from like August and then on. 2022, the entire year I logged 98. 2023, I literally did 2.5 times that. This is when I was going super hard the whole year. 244 films, and then so far into 2024, I'm still on like about the same pace, 165. Do I need to beat 244 this year? No, I don't feel the need to, but if I could just get within this range, perfectly fine with that. Basically, 2 films every 3 days, that's a good pace for me, especially because I'll go 5 days without watching a movie, then all of a sudden I'll watch 3 movies in one day. It's just kind of random with the way that like the data works, but this is like low-key one of my favorite graphs. I think it's just pretty cool that as time goes on, you just get to watch your growth and see how many movies you watch every single year. Highest rated decades, See, this is another category where, again, since I've watched less films from these decades, technically, that's why they're rated higher, because of course I'm actively seeking the better films from these decades. But I'm not trying to discredit them, because good God, there are so many great 90s films, so many great 80s films, so many great 2000s films. Just to go over some of the highlights here, we've got the greatest horror movie of all time, in my opinion, Scream 1. I'm not a big horror person whatsoever. I don't even really review horror movies on this channel, but it's so good. Dumb and Dumber, God, I'm mispronouncing names over here. In my opinion, the best comedy of all time. So absolutely hilarious. You've got a Quentin Tarantino classic, Reservoir Dogs, Shawshank, Toy Story 2, I mean, Jurassic Park, Goodfellas. It just gets so good from there. A bunch of classics. Swingers is really underrated. Wong Kar-wai's Happy Together, really solid film. October Sky, super underrated. Back to the Future, one of my favorites ever. Favorite holiday movie ever. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Blowout, really great film I watched recently. The Blues Brothers. Just a bunch of really solid films. Roadhouse, by the way, dude, you guys got to check out that original. It's really great. Watched it for the first time. And then as we get into the 2000s, man, Ocean's 11, a top 10 favorite film for me ever. A bunch of Harry Potters in here. You got The Dark Knight, of course. School of Rock, I absolutely adore. The Departed, I love. And Old Boy, good God, what an amazing film. There's so many films to talk about here, but I've got to burn through them, unfortunately. But yeah, as you guys can see, those are my averages. All right, so I've scrolled down now to like genres, countries, and languages. As you guys can see, action, I feel like most movies are like labeled as action as long as they have like one punch in them. Kind of makes sense that that's towards the top. Even comedy, I feel like every single superhero film is labeled as a comedy, especially on Letterboxd, where they kind of like expand the genres realistically. Adventure, sci-fi, I love sci-fi, so that makes a lot of sense. Drama and thriller are honestly surprisingly low, but at the same time, they're not like the most digestible films ever, but I mean still, I really love a good drama, a good thriller. As you guys can see, there's no horror on here, because again, I barely watch them. Romance, this is probably mostly for my girlfriend, I swear to God. That's the only reason I'm probably watching so many romance films. And also, crime, love a good Goodfellas, a good Heat, all those types. Fantasies like that Harry Potter type of stuff. And family could be labeled as like anything, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, as you guys can see, man, action is the number one. And you know what's funny? I'm not actually, like, on paper, a big action movie person. Like, there's a lot of other, like, film genres that I would definitely say are, like, way higher than action. But I guess that action gets labeled under, like, so many different things. Again, as long as there's, like, one punch in a movie, it's like, oh, this is an action film. Kind of stupid in my opinion. Again, I'm pretty US heavy on my films. I guess this isn't really as important because these are just films made in other countries. But especially in languages, man, I'm just mostly an English guy, and I want to expand my taste, right? I mean, I know that I've seen Old Boy, I've seen Parasite, I've seen some other films, but I mean, yeah, I need to expand my palette, I know, but it's just that I always find myself forgetting, if I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. I know that there's great, foreign films out there, at least because I'm from the US, so they're foreign to me. I really like this. This is pretty cool to me. The completionist in me makes me want to grind these out so badly. So this just shows you your list progress. These are like Letterboxd lists that they made. So to go over like the more notable ones, IMDb's top 250, that's, you know, the top 250 movies according to IMDb. I've watched 26% of them. The Letterboxd 250, kind of the same thing, but just based off their ratings. I've watched 14% of them. Best winners, Oscar Best Picture winners, 9%. I need to really bump my numbers up on some of these. And again, I'm like a very blockbuster-oriented guy. I do love smaller films, but I've just seen a lot of them. 53% of them. I've definitely seen more though than 53. Only 53 out of 100. But again, it's only what I've seen in the past 3 years or so. The sights and sounds I want to check out more for sure. And then from there, I have 34% of the top 250 most fans. So people that are like the biggest fans of these films, which I'm pretty sure means when it's in like someone's top 4. That's pretty cool. Top 100 animation, 14 out of 100. Pretty sick. My collections that I've completed. See, again, the completionist in me just absolutely loves Letterboxd for stuff like this. Shows you just all the film sagas and collections that you've completed. So as you guys can see, nothing crazy to go over here. You can take a look for yourself. I've watched all of these. The complete ones, well, these are the most popular. The complete ones, this is every single one I've completed. Yes, the Divergent series. Let's just say that my girlfriend might have had me in a chokehold for watching all those. I actually just watched those like a couple months ago too. Wolverine collection, all the Transformers films. And then this is what bothers me, the almost complete. Because I have like 1 or 2 movies missing. I have to watch the new Hunger Games film. I have to rewatch Cars 3. I've seen it before, but it's not on Letterboxd. I have to watch Age of Ultron. This one I think is Ant-Man and the Wasp. This one is Step Up 5, and this one's Toy Story 4. I know them by heart because I know for a fact that I need to check them out because it's just bothering me that I don't have them listed. Now we're getting into even more juicy stats here, at least in my opinion, the most watched. This is a very important list here because these are my most watched films. The Batman, 4 times. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, 4 times. I know a lot of these are superhero films, but again, just what I'm into, man, and they're just the most digestible and rewatchable films. The Batman I watched 3 times in the first, 3 months it came out, and then I didn't watch it for, 2 years, and then I just rewatched it, the other day. Across the Spider-Verse, man, I've already watched it 4 times in the past, year that it came out. Days of Futures Past, I've already watched twice this year. Dune Part 1, I've already watched it 3 times just this year. I watched it for the first time this year, and then 2 more times on top of that. Absolutely love this film, and yeah, X2 I watched twice this year. X-Men I watched twice this year. The Last Stand I've watched twice this year. So many of these films I've watched twice. Phantom Menace, Iron Man. I mean, again, it's a lot of superhero generic films this year. I get it. The Social Network this year I watched for the first time. Then the next night I rewatched it again because I was just obsessed with it. Such a great film. And yeah, I've probably seen more from here. But yeah, Dodgeball, one of my favorite comedies. Just some of the films that I have seen the most. Again, I get it. They're kind of like generic blockbusters. But at the same time, this is just my movie taste. So sorry, not sorry. And also, these movies, are just easier to rewatch. So yeah, already seen Deadpool & Wolverine twice. Let's go. And also I've seen this garbage twice, unfortunately. Sorry, Star Wars fans. But yeah. Okay, now we're getting into hot take territory, which I was pretty afraid of getting into. Rated higher than average. So this is my ratings that are higher compared to the Letterboxd average. Fast and Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, the second Fast and Furious film, I have it at 5 stars compared to a 2.95. Listen, I get it's not for everybody. I get it's not. In my opinion, I don't know what it is. This is just one of the most fun movies that I've ever watched in my life. I don't know what it is. Something about just this nostalgic early 2000s feeling. I just love this film, and I'll defend it. I don't care. It's just stupid fun. This is just one of the 3 or 4 rare exceptions where I'm like, you know what? I just love this movie so much for no reason. 5 stars. This movie sucks. I don't know why I gave it a 4 stars when I first watched it. Honestly, I was drinking the Jurassic World Kool-Aid. This movie's horrible. Same with Shazam. I do not like this film. The Muppets, oh my god. One of my favorite musicals ever. I don't care. 3.5 compared to a 5 stars. Beast, this is a really forgettable film. Again, I don't know why I gave it 4 stars. Avatar, I'm a defender of Avatar. Sorry. Civil War. The Flash, I'm a pretty solid Flash defender, but I do need to rewatch it. Grown Ups 2, I really don't care. This is just a super enjoyable movie. I do need to rewatch it. Some of these I need to rewatch. Bullet Train, is this really a 5-star film? I don't know. I haven't really thought about it this much. I don't know what I was doing in 2022 when I watched this and I gave it 5 stars, but who knows. And Jurassic World, one of the most nostalgic films ever for me. This is one of my most anticipated films of all time when it came out, so it's getting 5 stars. Speaking of hot takes, we're getting into my films that I have rated lower than average. Napoleon Dynamite, I just think is so painfully unfunny. Catch Me If You Can, it might be one of the most overrated films I've ever seen in my entire life. M. Night Miss, this movie sucks. Horrible Pixar. The Dark Knight Rises, I think, literally is just such a horrible movie, and I just don't understand why so many people love it. I just feel like this is just Nolan fans just going insane over it, and I like Nolan. I think he's a bit overrated, but I still enjoy his films. This movie, I don't know how it has 3.75. It blows my mind between the plot holes and this and that. I don't really care about some of these other movies. I think they're pretty bad, whatever. Manchester at the Sea, I understand why people enjoy it. I personally just do not enjoy it that much. I'm sorry. Moving on from there, the stars that I've watched the most movies from. Samuel L. Jackson's in every single MCU movie, and then even from there, he's just in so much stuff, whether it's Star Wars, this or that. Even other people like Willem Dafoe, Chris Evans, Chris Pratt, Jon Favreau, JK. These are people that are just in everything, it feels like. Bradley Cooper, though, God, I love Bradley Cooper. And also someone like Seth Rogen. I feel like they have similar tastes where, Seth Rogen's in every comedy, he's in every superhero movie, and then also other stuff like Silver Linings Playbook, such a great rom-com, by the way. And yeah, moving on from there, but again, I'm kind of going to skip highest rated because I don't really care about that right now. We've got Martin Scorsese, my favorite director. Absolutely love the guy. Spielberg, Nolan, Bay, yes, because I watched every Transformers movie. Sorry. Lasseter with Pixar. You got Fincher in here. Wes Ball, because I watched all 3 Maze Runner films, and then I also watched the new Planet of the Apes film that he directed. All the Hangover movies from Josh Phillips plus Joker. James Gunn, I mean, I just love James Gunn, man. He's probably my second or tied for first favorite director. And of course, Wes Anderson, you know, a little quirky director, if you will. Absolutely love Wes's films for the most part. Moving on from there, it gets a pretty uninteresting because it's just like crew, producers, Kevin Feige, what do you know? And, you know, a bunch of stuff like that, writers. I don't want to get too much into that, but at the same time, writers maybe is pretty cool to look at. James Gunn, I mean, he writes most of his films pretty much. Nolan writes his films, of course, for the most part. So yeah, those are like pretty much my top writers. We've got Stanley up there. Yeah, guys, I mean, I hope that you guys enjoyed looking at my Letterboxd stats. I mean, I know that it's nothing too crazy. Let's go back on my profile. But yeah, this is just what I like. Hopefully this gave a better idea of what my movie taste is. I feel like for some reason, it just showed like all of my horrible ratings for movies, or like old ratings where I'm like, God, why did I give that movie this rating? But either way, I just wanted to show you guys my Letterboxd stats because it's my favorite app. If you guys want to follow me on Letterboxd, I do follow back. Just be sure to comment on like one of my recent reviews, like, hey, came from YouTube, just so I know you're not like a bot or something, and so I know to actually follow you back and you came from YouTube, and I will follow back. And also, I am a review watcher, so if I see your review and I don't like the rating that you gave, I'm definitely going to comment for sure and be like, bro, why are you giving The Dark Knight Rises 5 stars? That blows my mind. But guys, that's going to just about do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.